That's exactly what I'm saying, because I think it makes a mockery of the women's game. If the focus on, now we just have to have people because of marketing and their intention, and they're not as talented, and we're not putting the best team out there.
How these WNBA experts think is beyond me. What does their brain truly process? How is it possible for ESPN to hire these individuals to discuss WNBA and present such viewpoints?
Have to have people because of marketing and their intention, and they're not as talented.
Famous ESPN commentator Molly Karam's comments about Caitlin Clark, one of the WNBA's emerging stars, sparked a major uproar in the sports world. Her remarks on live television not only caused indignation but also ignited a broad discussion about how the media views and evaluates female athletes, especially those in the WNBA. Despite garnering enormous attention and viewership, Cum said that players like Caitlin Clark were ultimately a parody of women's basketball. Cum claims that Clark's involvement in the sport was more of a publicity stunt than an indication of her true skill. Fans, commentators, and athletes were swiftly moved by this audacious assertion, and many of them disagreed with Cum's evaluation. It was unfair and very ignorant to minimize the accomplishments of someone like Caitlin Clark in a league where players must continuously establish their value and fight for respect. Significant concerns about the biases in sports commentary, especially in the coverage of women's sports, were highlighted by the ensuing controversy.
All I gotta say is she's lucky this UConn team isn't healthy. And that's a true statement.
That's wrong, Molly.
Monica?
That's wrong, Molly. Molly, it's excuses.
5 top players,
it's excuses,
am I right?
Molly. It's excuses.
Major injury.
You would not be saying that if it wasn't UConn.
Major stars not playing.
Listen, excuse me, it's her against Caitlin Clark.
Stephen A.
Ain't no excuses.
Stephen
you
A.
got there. No, want to hear that now.
Stephen A.
Let me tell you, if
Paige
Georgetown
Beckers,
get back in the mix, I'm going to be insufferable. I'm just telling you that now.
What?
If Paige Beckers didn't basically miss 2 seasons, I don't know if we'd be talking about Caitlin Clark the way we are.
During her time as a collegiate basketball player, Caitlin Clark gained notoriety due to her incredible on-court performance. Her remarkable basketball IQ, playmaking abilities, and leadership on the floor immediately made her a household name in addition to her scoring prowess. At the University of Iowa, Clark was a star player who often led her team to wins and broke several records. She was one of the most thrilling players to watch because of her ability to make long three-pointers, set up scoring chances for her teammates, and perform well under duress. It seemed obvious that she would have an early effect on the WNBA, as many commentators and fans started comparing her to some of the greatest women's basketball players of all time. However, Caitlin Clark had a difficult time winning the attention of many sports media outlets despite her outstanding collegiate record. This takes us to Molly Karam's contentious comments, which not only minimized Clark's skills but also brought attention to a more significant problem with how major media sources portray women's sports. Molly Karam didn't hold back when she used the radio to express her thoughts on Caitlin Clark. According to Cum, athletes like Clark were garnering attention to the WNBA for the wrong reasons rather than really providing value to the league. Karam claims that Caitlin Clark's enormous fan following and media attention had less to do with her basketball skills and more to do with her marketability. She even implied that Clark wasn't gifted enough to be regarded as one of the top players in the WNBA, saying that her existence in the league was a mockery of the women's game. Despite the controversy surrounding her name, Caitlin has kept up her good work on the field, setting records and exuding a certain aura. She refuses to listen to analysts and instead is so elegant in all she does. Instead than focusing on what others think of her, Caitlin lets her conversation flow naturally. In addition to being hurtful, these remarks appeared to minimize the effort and commitment Caitlin Clark had made to become into the player she is today. Hearing such public criticism from a well-known character in sports media must have been depressing for a young athlete like Clark, who had repeatedly shown herself. However, Clark Cum's remarks were more than simply a personal jab. They revealed a more serious problem. The propensity of certain media figures to minimize the accomplishments of female athletes, especially when those women are shattering records and establishing new benchmarks for excellence in their particular sports. The notion that Caitlin Clark was just bringing attention to the WNBA without really improving the standard of play was one of the things Molly Karam emphasized. This assertion is not only misleading, but also fails to recognize the positive impact that players like Clark have on growing the league. For a long time, the WNBA has been unable to get the same amount of interest as the NBA, its male equivalent. This is a result of both social prejudices and inadequate media attention, not a lack of ability or skill among the players. It should be seen as a good thing for women's basketball when a player like Caitlin Clark joins the league and starts attracting new fans. For the league to continue expanding and garnering respect on a broader scale, Clark's capacity to draw greater attention to the game via both her on-court play and her off-court appeal is exactly what it needs. However, Cum's remarks appear to paint this increased attention in a negative light, as if the addition of a star who may draw in more viewers somehow devalued the WNBA. This viewpoint overlooks the fact that viewership and marketability are critical to a league's success and long-term viability in professional sports. Caitlin Clark is doing precisely what the WNBA needs to succeed if she is competing at a high level and contributing to the league's growth. Molly Qurum's criticism of Caitlin Clark's removal from Team USA, despite her stellar college record and apparent talent, also provoked uproar. Although many supporters expressed disapproval of this choice, Karam publicly endorsed it and expressed happiness that Clark had been kept off the roster. Despite being ruled out, Clark maintained her humility, acknowledged how difficult it is to compete in the Olympics with the United States, and said that she would keep getting better in the hopes of being chosen for 2028. She exudes aura.
I think I'm excited for the girls that are on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way of me being on the team, me not being on the team. So, I'm excited for them. I'm going to be rooting them on to win gold. I was a kid that grew up watching the Olympics, so it'll be fun to watch them.
What was your level of disappointment not hearing your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. I think it just gives you something to work for. It's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Given Clark's outstanding results in the NCAA, many found Cum's argument that Clark just wasn't skilled enough to compete at the world level to be puzzling. In addition to being incorrect, the idea that a player of Clark's skill shouldn't be on the USA team appeared to reveal a deeper prejudice against her. As is often the case in sports, the greatest way to quiet critics is via performance. Thus Karam's public celebration of Clark's expulsion seemed like an unjustified assault on a young player who was already fighting for recognition in the professional ranks. That's exactly what Caitlin Clark has done. Following Karam's critical remarks and her elimination from Team USA, Clark has persisted in letting her performance speak for itself. Her WNBA performances have been nothing short of extraordinary, especially when she has faced elite teams like the Los Angeles Sparks and the Chicago Sky. Clark demonstrated all of her capabilities in these games, including her ability to score goals, create plays, and improve her teammates' performances. In addition to leading her team to success, she did it in a way that demonstrated her skill. Clark has developed a habit of making game-winning shots and clutch plays with triple-doubles, and her numbers speak for themselves. Molly Qum quickly started to alter her mind. Karam recently retracted some of her previous remarks after seeing Clark's amazing performances, saying that she had never really questioned Clark's abilities. In sharp contrast to her prior remarks, she continued by praising Clark as one of the league's top players. Although it's admirable that Karam later saw Clark's potential, the abrupt change in perspective called into doubt the validity of her earlier criticism. The flip-flop Molly Karam made about Caitlin Clark is not unique. It is a component of a broader problem in the media, especially with regard to coverage of women's sports. All too often, pundits and analysts are ready to draw broad conclusions about players without completely comprehending their skills or the subtleties of the game. In Clark's case, the initial rejection of her potential was not only unjust, but also a sign of a larger issue with the coverage of female sports.
Be honest with ourselves. If you want to vote for Angel Reese, just be honest for the reason why you're voting for her. Caitlin Clark leads all rookies in pretty much every statistic except rebounding. And Angel Reese is a big, and she should be beating most people in rebounds, but you escape the fact that she's collecting 2 or 3 of her own missed layups and hoarding those rebounds. Caitlin Clark has turnovers because her teammates are fumbling the ball. And yes, she does mismanage the ball at times, but people act like she's just giving the ball up every possession. Caitlin Clark affects the entire game. So if you're making a basketball decision, then Caitlin Clark is easily the Rookie of the Year. And if you want to vote for Angel Reese, or you say Angel Reese is Rookie of the Year, that's cool too. Just be honest about the reason why you think so.
The league's reputation as a whole suffers from inconsistent analysis, in addition to the players. The validity of the sport is undermined and a perception of instability is created when media figures constantly alter their perspectives. Fans are left wondering whether these experts really understand what they're talking about, or if they're just stating whatever would suit the current storyline or create the greatest attention. In a league like the WNBA, which is still battling for the respect it deserves, this is especially detrimental. It may be detrimental to the league's attempts to be recognized as a significant professional sports organization when commentators make prejudiced or ignorant remarks. Such contradictory analysis is not only annoying for players like Caitlin Clark, who are working non-stop to increase the level of competition and attract more spectators to the game, but it is also harmful to the development of the sport. The public's opinion of players in sports leagues is greatly influenced by analysts and commentators, which is one of the reasons Molly Combs' remarks were so harmful. The way players are depicted in the media may have a significant influence on how the general public views them in the WNBA, a league that is still vying for widespread recognition. When a well-known person like Combs makes audacious, baseless statements against a player like Caitlin Clark, it affects how casual fans see that player. Fans may be less likely to watch Clark play or support the league if they learn that she is just a marketing gimmick and not a real talent. Because every fan matters in a league like the WNBA, it is crucial for analysts to be impartial and precise in their evaluations. Furthermore, fans may get confused when pundits like Karam abruptly change their minds. It's difficult for fans to know what to trust when Caitlin Clark is praised as one of the league's greatest players one day and written down as a parody of the game the next. Fans may find it difficult to completely interact with the league as a result of this inconsistency, which may further damage public confidence in the media.
If Rookie of the Year was picked today, I give it to Angel. There's still stuff about her game that I'm like, I wish she would have stayed another year. And that is just from an offensive standpoint of working on her post game, working on her post moves. I do think that'll come with time. To me, the stuff that Angel brings is, one, she gonna play hard, period. No matter who they're playing. And Kenyon, you can speak to this. Rebounding is about effort, and I want it more than you, and I'm just gonna go get it. That is the best part of Angel's game right now. I think she's averaging a double-double. That's impressive. That's impressive for anybody, let alone a rookie, to come in and do.
Former WNBA player Cheryl Swoops is another well-known person who has come under fire for how she handled the Caitlin Clark case. Swoops, a legend in her own right, has often avoided discussing Clark's accomplishments, leading some to speculate that there may be an element of jealousy involved. Although it's tough to pinpoint the exact reason for Swoops' unwillingness to recognize Clark's accomplishments, it's certain that some former players and commentators feel uneasy about giving Clark the credit she deserves. This could be partly because Clark has accomplished things in her debut season that very few players in WNBA history have ever been able to do. Cheryl is still rooting for Angel Reed to win Rookie of the Year. Although supporters think there should only be one winner, CC, Clark has distinguished herself from many of her competitors with her regular triple-doubles and game-changing exploits. She has accomplished milestones and broken several records in her debut season alone, surpassing even some of the best players in the league's history. This degree of achievement, particularly at such a young age, may sometimes cause conflict for individuals who believe their own legacies are being eclipsed. Caitlin Clark has had one of the most outstanding rookie seasons in WNBA history, despite the skepticism and criticism. From the time she on the court, she was able to perform at an exceptional level. With several triple-doubles and game-winning efforts, Clark has continuously produced figures that no other rookie has been able to match. The fact that Clark is doing all of this while leading the Indiana Fever, a team that has had difficulties recently, makes her accomplishments even more impressive. Clark is one of the league's most thrilling players to watch because of her ability to guide her team and perform in crucial situations. She has rapidly established herself as one of the top players in the WNBA due to her unquestionable skill. Clark's ability to quiet her detractors with her play has been one of the most important features of her debut season. Her magnificence has forced analysts who previously questioned her ability or wrote her off as a marketing gimmick to admit it. Her accomplishments and the records she has broken speak for themselves. Furthermore, it's evident that Caitlin Clark is more than simply a well-known figure in women's basketball. She really is a superstar. The gap between what pundits are saying and what is really occurring on the court is one of the most annoying parts of the Caitlin Clark debate. All too often, WNBA commentators seem disconnected from the realities of the game, making judgments based more on their own prejudices or preconceptions than on performance or facts.
You slow down Caitlin Clark. I don't necessarily think you can slow her down. She's bound to get at least 20 every single game. You have to make her choose one, like either she's going to be scoring that night or you're going to try to keep her scoring down and have her pass to her teammates more.
I agree with that mindset. When you're guarding someone like Caitlin Clark, you can't necessarily stop her, shut her down or anything, so you gotta pick your battles with her. Like, she's so good, she's gonna have however many points regardless of how you decide to guard her.
The Paige and AZ show is presented by Buick, a proud partner of the NCAA.
In Clark's case, the original assessment of her skill was not only erroneous, but also wholly out of step with her on-court accomplishments. Despite Clark's record-breaking performances, analysts like Molly Karam's suggestion that she was a mockery of the game highlights a bigger problem with how women's basketball is covered in the media. There appears to be a lack of respect for the athletes and a propensity to minimize their accomplishments, even when those accomplishments are historic. The WNBA's inability to get the credit it deserves is partly due to this gap between experts and the reality of the game. Fans find it more difficult to interact with the game, and the league's reputation is damaged when those who are meant to be experts on the sport provide inconsistent or ignorant commentary. This kind of analysis is not only annoying for players like Caitlin Clark, who are working non-stop to increase the quality of competition and attract more spectators to the sport, but it is also detrimental to the league's expansion. Please subscribe and give a like if you liked this video. More content from our channel will now appear on the screen. I appreciate you watching.